Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com again, and today's video is on a very inexpensive deck of tarot cards. My daughter found it in the United States. There are stores called Five Below, which means everything in the store is $5 or less. Now, of course, since we live in Jersey, it had to be $5 and not less. But I've seen other people with this deck who say they've bought it for $1. It's called Celestial Tarot Cards. I have not opened it, so I haven't seen inside, but based on the cover, it looks as though there's pretty simplistic symbolism, like a knight of batons has the helmet of a knight and a simple baton, so that kind of thing. Clearly by the Three of Swords, we can see that it probably slants towards the Rider Waite Smith tradition. But who can resist? Who can resist a $5 deck of tarot cards? So my daughter bought two, one for myself and one for her baby, her little girl, because as I've mentioned, we have a little treasure chest for both of the girls. And hopefully it'll be filled by the time they're interested in learning tarot, and they'll already have several in their collection. So let me flip the camera and focus on the cards. See you on the other side. Alrighty, I did tear the seal here with my scissors because the only thing that kept it shut was a piece of tape here. So let's check out what we got. So it appears as though there is no little white book with this deck. So you either have to be familiar with how tarot works, or like many people do, they just sort of wing it and try to make their own associations. Now, I pulled this sack of tarot dice out that I've shown in a previous video or two, and I do use them occasionally for certain purposes, never to do a tarot reading, but sometimes every now and then just for certain things. And I pulled it out because I noticed from the cover that this deck uses simple symbols, and so I was just wondering how they connected, or if they were similar to anything that we see on the die. Like here we have Leo, simple batons, cups, something for the magician, a magician's hat. I was wondering what the Fool looked like, but of course I can't find it now. Of course. The Priestess, a King, Devil. So I'm giving us a real quick glimpse into these just to see if we recognize them. Justice. You know that the Fool is going to be the last one I pick, right? The Hanged Man. Ah, there's the Fool. Okay, so we have a Fool's... see, I was right. We have a Fool's cap for both. So it's pretty basic symbolism, kind of interesting. Now, it's got this large celestial, I'm not sure it really is a celestial image, but it kind of is reminiscent of one. There's a special name for this figure, but it escapes me at the moment. And a rather large 0 for Fool. So they assign the Fool with 0, even though it's really got no number. The Magician. So already we see that, celestial sky. So we have stars, we have the appearance of what could be like a nebula or a Milky Way. Triple goddess almost for the high priestess. And then they definitely use occultist names like the high priestess, and I guess they'll use the Hierophant too. Yep. Interesting image for the Chariot. Now, I have so many wonderful and beautiful and expensive tarot decks in my collection, but I'm just as enthusiastic about finding a deck that costs $5 as I am about scoring an out-of-print deck or a very expensive deck, because, tarot really isn't, right, I guess it can be an elitist thing. There's no reason why you can't interpret cards that cost $5, I mean, granted, this card stock and the quality of image, isn't going to be up to the caliber of Sullivan Hissman's of Tarot Sheet Revival or Giordano Berti or any of the fabulous Il Meneghello, for example, any of the fabulous card makers. But why should only people who have a couple dollars, be entitled to read tarot? That's not true. I mean, if I had if I didn't have any tarot decks at all and I wanted to read tarot, say I lost, all my decks, I'd get a pack of index cards and create my own tarot deck with magic marker, and it would be in my mind just as magical, if not more, because it was created by my own hand. So there's no reason to think of tarot as having the most expensive, or as a collector, I can see that, but I was a reader before I was a collector, and first and foremost, I'm a reader. And now this is interesting. Oh, because there's a woman usually in the image of a lion, but she's not taming it or forcing its mouth opened or closed. You can readily, without even the names being on the cards, you could readily identify what they are. So if you have any knowledge of tarot, you definitely understand what you're looking at. You don't need the word, and you certainly don't need a colossal number to identify it. And you'll see also that we have 8 and 11 in reverse. So this is definitely going to be reflective of the Rider Waite Smith tradition. So for all of the trump cards or the triumph cards, we have, a celestial background, consistent in color so far. No lightning striking here, just the tower, almost like a smokestack, with pollution rather than being struck by lightning, which is kind of interesting. It might bring a different interpretation. So Judgment is more like the angel of old ancient cards. So that's it for the triumph cards or the trump cards. The backs are interesting, very detailed. a slick surface, and look at this, very, very flexible. As a matter of fact, it's not a bad cardstock. Not a bad cardstock. You know, as far as inexpensive tarot decks go, usually the cardstock is like just cardboard, and you say, well, it only costs $10 or whatever. What do you want? But this cardstock is oh, okay. So it looks like this cardstock isn't bad. So it looks as though we've changed background and we've lost this image in the center. So batons or wands, as they're called here, have an orange background. Yeah, so we recognize the Rider Waite Smith tradition already. So if you read Rider Waite Smith, you shall have no trouble with this deck, I don't think. Now, for the court cards, you'd have to have an understanding of what the suit and of how the suit and the position of the court reconciles with one another, or whatever other method you have. But you'd have to have an understanding already of the court cards, because there's no clues here. Water is blue. Cups, rather, is blue. So we're associating this with water, of course, and we see the line of water, the figure representing water. So I suppose that maybe this was fire. You know, the orange is an association with batons, with fire, as is the case in the Rider Waite Smith deck. So it's not exactly the same as the Rider Waite Smith, but very similar. And for the few that are different, it's a little bit liberating, because you can actually superimpose your own feeling about the card, independent of whatever image you would normally see in a Rider Waite Smith deck. The the thing that is maybe not as wonderful is that with the king and queen cards, or the court cards, with the exception of, I think, the page, well, the knight is looking in one direction, the pages are looking in directions. The king and queen don't look in a direction, right? Unless the crowns were. Let's see where the crowns were facing. Yeah, no, the crowns don't face in any direction. So here we go with swords. Now this is really hot. This is a real hot red. So I don't know. This kind of looks fiery too. Interesting. So there goes that theory. I don't know. Interesting choice of color for the swords. I guess they chose blue already for water. They could have chosen a whitish, grayish background, but then I guess the images, which are all in white silhouette, wouldn't be so easy to see. Green, the color of money. And earth. Much of our planet is verdant. Oh, that's pretty. And the association with pentacles rather than coins, and we don't see the church or the two destitute figures here, so it does break away a little bit. Almost, you know, is an optical illusion of almost seeing a female figure holding the scales of justice, right? But it really is just a scale. So it takes some liberties. So all the pages are looking in the same direction, which means nobody will really be looking at each other, which is, and all the knights' helmets I think are looking in the same direction. I don't think I noticed any others that weren't. Yeah, I don't think I did. So it has some limitations. However, it can still be read. And oh, let's see how it shuffles. It's a little large in the hand. I have long, slender fingers, and it's still a little on the large side for me. But they seem to shuffle just fine. Oh, what did I do? I got them kind of screwed up, so I'll have to fix that. But I hope this video has been good enough to give you an idea of this deck. If you live near a 5 Below and you just are, you know, interested in an inexpensive tarot deck that you can take on vacation and not concern yourself with if you lose it, or if you're on a really tight budget, or you're a student, or you just think you like tarot cards but you're not sure and you don't really want to invest $60 onward for a, you know, wonderful deck, why not get one of these? Until next time, friends, peace and stay well.